All right, do you want to move up graduation requirements?
Yes, please. I'd like to move item G to the top of new business.
All right. You're on.
Okay, give me a second to Kylie and Beth, if you want to log back in. And item G was on 224. I just need to get to my page.
I'm here.
So more or less, the Board of Education saw this in the Friday update I sent out, but the State Board of Education reduced the graduation requirements on the state level from 16 to 14. We then on the sheet that's in your board packet, the two-tone sheet, the state advised that school boards should be looking at local graduation requirements just for the class of 2020 and see if there's anything that would be impacted for the suspension of in-person instruction. And they strongly encourage boards to look at waiving those requirements. So I will turn this over to Kylie and Beth. Beth, you want to start, please?
Is there something I can look at that you're looking at?
Mike, could you share the screen on page 224?
Because this is the document that Kylie.
Yeah, they're looking at the handout with the yellow and blue box, if you have that.
It would be awesome if Mike could share the screen. Perfect.
A little further down, Mike, next page.
So there's just the verbiage from ISB at the top, how we are going to make changes for the class of 2020. You can see that the ISB has reduced graduation requirements in English, math, and social studies. And if you look at the total credit requirement, they've reduced the number from 16 to 14. And then in addition to that, they have exempted class of 2020 students from PE, health, consumer ed, and government. So obviously all of these requirements are no longer required for our current seniors. But in addition to that, we are hoping that the board will look at some other requirements. And this is based off of a webinar that Kylie and Hector and I attended a couple of weeks ago when this was presented to us and saying also look at your local graduation requirements. So we are looking at reducing our culture and applied studies requirements by a 0.5 and reducing the total number of credits from 22 to 19.5. And how we came to that number was our seniors or students, in order to be a full-time student, they need to be enrolled in 5 classes, which is a total of 2.5 credits. So we just reduced our total number of credits for graduation from 22 to 19.5. And then we are also asking that our 12th grade students be exempted from the fine arts survey graduation requirement.
And Beth, these would be for students that are enrolled in these classes.
Currently, yes, currently.
So a
yes.
kid that took government or a kid that took their PE requirements or their fine arts survey first semester, this does not apply.
Correct. Yes, these are, well, yes. Actually, I mean, the way the state has presented it, so let's say we have a student, we have a senior who is deficient in English, half a credit, but they're currently passing their English class. Technically, they only need 3.5 credits of English to graduate. So if they're passing their current English class, they would not need to make up that credit. I think the state is trying to help students graduate, kind of close this chapter and move on. They're making it as easy and as accessible to graduate as possible. And that's what we're trying to do as well for our current seniors.
Okay, and so what we're asking for the board tonight We put the resolution in there. This is not something that could be, Mike, you got to go, you don't have to go to the resolution. Mike, you could leave it on that page. But the resolution more or less will just give the superintendent or designee authority to review senior transcripts and make modifications in regards to local graduation requirements as discussed at tonight's meeting.
And then we would put a notation on transcripts. That's something, language that we can work through at a, administrative meeting, that our graduation requirements were changed due to not having in-person instruction and based on the recommendation from, ISB.
Can I ask a question? Is there already a trend in terms of other school districts moving on that also, or do we not know yet because everybody is seeing this now for the first time maybe?
No, there's
Go ahead, Beth.
There's absolutely a trend. I'm on a number of listservs and other assistant principals of student services and directors. And actually, I think RB maintaining the 19.5 graduation rate is great. A number of schools are actually reducing that to a lower number. So they're definitely obviously going with the reduction of graduation requirements in core areas, and some schools are actually reducing local requirements even more drastically than what we are proposing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Donna?
So when you said you were on a webinar, it was an ISB webinar?
It was.
So like the yellow is like absolutely, and then the blue is sort of what they also recommend.
Correct. The yellow is what we must follow, and the blue is what we are hoping that we can do in addition to what ISB is recommending.
Okay.
And I will say, because I'm in communication with the counselors on a daily basis, and we track graduation rates from the start of the school year and who's on track to graduate. We are not talking about a large number of students who are needing this reduction. It's a handful of students, and I have to say that I think this is in the best interest of students to try and get them to graduate, because if they are not engaged in online learning right now, the chance that they're going to be engaged in June and July is probably not very likely. So to give them the opportunity to get their high school diploma and move forward, I think is in the best interest of kids right now.
If there's no other questions on this, before we read the resolution, this did open up the door for us that, Beth, I think you wanted to touch on a few things. I think this will impact the future of RB going forward in regards to class rank. And then I thought there was one other area. Or is it just class rank? Class rank.
Yeah, I think this is definitely an opportunity to start the conversation about eliminating class rank at RB. This is my 15th year here, and the class rank has been a topic of conversation for about as long as I've been at RB. I'm not sure how we would begin to rank our students after this year, especially since our students that completed, or I should say, we're not giving incompletes to seniors. The grading system is very different for fourth quarter and what second semester is going to look like. I think for some students, it will benefit them if we continue to rank, and for some students, it could actually be detrimental on their transcript. So I think it's a larger conversation, but I do think for our current seniors, we're going to have to look at class rank being their 7th semester GPA and rank on their transcript, because I don't know how we would begin to rank them for their 8th semester of their senior year.
And we don't have to make that decision tonight, but I know you've pulled this before. A lot of our local high schools well, several high schools throughout the state, including several top performing high schools in the state, have already eliminated class rank, correct?
Yeah, we are absolutely one of the last high schools in our area that continues to rank. When you look at College Board's application, I'm sorry, the common application, that's one of the questions, you know, do you rank? And if you don't, do you have students in quartile, deciles, or do you not rank at all? It's not helping students in the long run. In some ways, it actually hurt their opportunity for college admission. And I think our students, given what's happening right now, and especially our current juniors who don't have the opportunity to go on college visits and actually visit campuses, I think the college admission process is going to be very scary for them right now, and what that's going to look like and what their opportunities are going to look like. So I think we want to eliminate as many barriers as possible for them so that they have as much access as any other student in any other high school for opportunities for college admission.
Hey, Beth, so one question, excuse me, boss, if you were gonna talk, I'm sorry, excuse me. So those schools that have eliminated class rural idea.
I'm sorry, you broke up there. I didn't hear the question.
Yeah, excuse me, no, that was my internet. So Beth, I know many local schools have eliminated class rank, and so what are they using now to recognize their students' achievement? Did you share a little more?
I mean, students are still receiving a GPA, and like I said, they're ranking students maybe at like a quartile or a decile. They're still grouping students. Some schools are not ranking at all. So I still think that there could be an opportunity to recognize students that have done well academically, sort of maybe an honor certificate. You set a GPA, you set the bar of what a student needs to reach so that they're recognized, whether it's at graduation or senior awards. We would have to talk through all of that. But the idea of, ranking students is, it's just not a common practice in the area high schools that are around us.
Hector, you had brought up before about the possibility of like a magna cum laude, summa cum laude.
Could you repeat that, boss? I'm sorry, excuse me.
You had brought up the recommendation in the past about moving to a magna cum laude or summa cum laude.
I did. So in a quarter academic recognition, I was fortunately at one of my previous schools to help usher that, where you recognize students who met a certain GPA, right? Right. Magna cum laude could be 4.0, excuse me, summa cum laude 4.0 and above. Magna cum laude could be 3.5 to 3.9, and cum laude could be the 3.0. So students get that academic recognition. You actually recognize more students, but more importantly, you actually align that practice to higher education. Because, for us that we went to college, right, that you achieved well academically, you were grouped, right, in the quartile, and you received your honor on your diploma. So I think that's a possibility. Again, it's just an idea, and we're just talking about it today, and we've mentioned briefly before, but, we have to involve many people, involve many stakeholders. But that's a possibility for us to begin exploring and possibly implement it if there's enough support in the future.
I think Laura had her hand up.
The other conversation it brings up, if you look at the state only requiring 16 graduation credits, that's another conversation we're going to have about opening up some options for our students, allowing early graduation or allowing them to take classes at the junior colleges. So this also lets us know that we have a lot of leeway there too.
Absolutely. I figured that would be a comment from you, Laura. I know that's been something you've been asking for, and it didn't get much traction in the past, but, altering our curriculum so that not necessarily lowering credits, but maybe lowering some of these, and these requirements that are specific to RB so that it gives kids more flexibility to take dual credit and achieve elective credits or in other areas. So that's something that the Curriculum Council can continue to visit. Kylie, are you still on the call?
Yes.
We did not have, traditionally in May, we'll get new course proposals for the curriculum council. Is that something that will be coming forward?
Yes.
And then we should probably just, again, always have this on our radar or something to discuss.
Okay.
And we could, and Beth, we can add to that curriculum council agenda, then the whole class rank. Because at some point, if we're going to move away from class rank, we should make sure we're communicating that. And then you, Hector, and Kylie have your plan that you could pitch to the curriculum council, and then we could bring it to the whole board. Maybe that's something we could start working on over the summer.
Sounds good.
I think Ramona had a thought.
I just wanted to say, encourage Beth and Kylie and Hector to look into this, right? Like, now is the time to make some changes in education, right? Like, if you're following the blogs and the Twitter sphere and all the things that are out there, right? We have this antiquated agrarian system that we base our schools off of. And we've had this huge impact that has shown us that some things work, some things don't. And we know that it comes down to building relationships and that face-to-face. But this is the time when we can make some real changes in the way, again, that we do school and in the way kids learn. So I encourage you to put all at your curriculum council, like put all those big ideas out on the table and figure out what really can work for RB and what can't, because now is the time. Like none other, right?
Yes.
Wes, if there's no other questions, we would like to have the board approve the flexibility tonight.
All right.
I can read the resolution
Okay.
if there's no other discussion, right? Okay, the Board of Education, Township High School District 208, Cook County, Illinois hereby provides the authority to the superintendent or designee to modify or reduce the District 208 graduation requirements for the students scheduled to graduate in 2020 who were unable to complete certain local graduation requirements due to the suspension of in-person instruction as presented in the May 12th, 2020 board agenda packet.
We have a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Zalis.
Ms. Zalis. Okay, Mary Ann.
Actually, I think this would be an all in favor.
That's great. All in favor of, do we raise our hands?
No. We can do a thumbs up.
I think it might be easier just to vote. Mary Ann, why don't we do a vote?
Okay. Mr. Durkin? Mr. Durkin?
Unmuted, yes.
Ms. Ruska?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Ms. Sierra?
Yes.
Ms. Towner?
Yes.
Ms. Salas? Yes. Mr. Smithing?
Yes.
Kylie, Beth, thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You as well. Bye all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.